you, Mr Speaker. I rise to put a couple of community initiatives on the record on behalf of our electorate, and in doing so I would like to start by acknowledging the wonderful work of Darren Stringer, who is the chair of the Snowtown Progress Association and also a representative on the Wakefield Regional Council, with whom I had the great pleasure of meeting last week to discuss his plans for a revitalised Snowtown. Darren's passion and energy for Snowtown came through in spades on that occasion, and it was wonderful to see all the plans that he had to revitalise that area. And it started with the oval precinct, of which there's been some work done recently, including new change rooms. And Darren's ripped out an almighty number of pine trees and replaced them with tuckaroo and other sorts of tree, which has done a really outstanding job in making the area a bit more palatable for the RVs that come in to use it as an accommodation precinct. I've also ripped out the old heritage arch, well, I'm not sure they're heritage listed, but the old archways, which was precluding quite a number of RVs from making it into the campsite in the first place. So in doing that, they've made it a far more beautiful place for the RVs to stay and made it a far more practical place for them to get into. And I'm led to believe that the visitation numbers have gone through the roof as a result. The next step in that oval precinct, as Darren sees it, as Snowtown Progress sees it, will be to remove the tennis courts, and they've got a grant to resurface, so they're hoping to attract some more funding to make up the difference to enable those courts to be moved, but move them to open up more space for RVs and again increase that revenue just that little bit more. Secondly, they want to beautify the entrance into the town. It can be a bit of a bleak prospect currently arriving in Snowtown, but Darren has these wonderful plans to plant some native trees, plant some native shrubbery and make the entrance to Snowtown that much more beautiful and that much more enticing for people driving past on the highway. He's got plans not only to do that from the highway side but also from the other side. And on the other side, members may or may not know, there's a council dam which is used for some irrigation. Darren, amongst other things, has plans to enlarge that dam and create somewhat of a walking trail around it, which would be good for those people that pull up for the day or stay a night, and give them something to do to walk around the oval. So it's got wonderful plans. I look forward to. I'm trying to facilitate a meeting with Darren and the Minister for Planning. I think there's some wonderful things we can do for very little investment that would have a tremendous impact on the town of Snowtown. And again, I want to emphasise that this is not a progress association that's coming in with its hand out for the entire amount. It's an energetic, passionate person who has got the volunteers and the wherewithal to secure donations and supplies, with grand plans to make a significant difference to a town which has been suffering, honestly, off the back of an unfair reputation that's come about as a result of some crimes that were committed elsewhere, and the back end of which was left in Snowtown. Somehow they've been left with the reputation of with the barrels and the murder. So it's a wonderful thing to have that, move on from that and create a new energetic Snowtown, and hopefully we can bring about that with some modest investment and some really exciting plans. The second community thing that I'd like to bring to the attention of this House is the situation that we have going on currently in Moonta. Relatively recently, the gentleman that owned the three pubs in Moonta, the Moonta Hotel, the Royal Hotel and the Cornwall Hotel, sold out to an interstate investor who has since shut off the meals at two of those three pubs and limited it at the third one. Now, for a town the size of Moonta, for a tourism town like Moonta, this is a completely unacceptable situation. It narrows down the options for someone to have a feed down to the Port Eust Tavern, which is a wonderful job and I couldn't recommend highly enough, and not much else. Unfortunately, Cafe Capella burnt down recently and they're in the process of rebuilding, and there are not a great deal many other options for people who are visiting Moonta and enjoying all it has to offer. So we need to do something about it, and I bring it up because recently Council at their last meeting resolved to bring to my attention this situation and asked that I bring it up in Parliament as a matter of urgency, which I'm doing today, and I have to make clear to the Council what I have done previous in different ways and different forms, but I think needs to be a solution found ASAP. And one measure that's underway, I'm led to believe that the Commissioner is reviewing the licensing regulations to see whether we should return to a situation where pubs are compelled to provide food when serving alcohol, so that investors like the people that own the three hotels in Moonta aren't allowed to just shut off the kitchen, serve alcohol and have pokies. They would have to provide feeds at the same time. And I look forward to seeing that review take place and the recommendation from it tabled here relatively soon. But again, repeating myself, but something needs to be done to provide more options for people that visit Moonta. And I congratulate Brent Walker, who I believe was the initiator of this motion at Council, for his work and I congratulate the Council, and I'm looking forward to getting stuck into working with the Government to ensure that Moonta returns to its place atop the tourist town rankings.